and welcome back to another video. My name is Kizzy and today we're going to be talking about my December wrap-up, the last wrap-up of 2020. Sad times, kind of, not really, but there we go. So this month I read okay, it gets a bit complicated. Oh, Happy New Year! It's currently New Year's Eve. Tomorrow this goes up, so it'll be New Year's Day. So Happy New Year to everyone watching. If you're watching this after New Year, I hope you still had a good one. So this is my little pile of the things that I read this month. It's been a slow month, not gonna lie. I lost reading momentum quite a bit. I say that every reading vlog, but this month I feel like I definitely did, especially with the Christmas period. Not exams, but essays looming that I should have been doing, but I wasn't doing, so I just watched TV instead because self-destruction is key. I read one book, but in two parts. One play from this collection, a collection of short stories, and a nice little, I would say, novella. Perhaps, I don't actually know how long does a novella have to be. So it was a short book, but there we go. So shall we do it in, well, I can't really do it in order because the first book I finished was one that I read majority of this part in November. So I read most of part one in November and I'm almost finished, so I'm cheating a little bit. Almost finished part two of Words of Radiance. So this is obviously one book, but then just because, you know, you have to buy two books now to read it. And I am 100 pages from the end, so I will finish this today. Definitely will finish this today. I'm determined to finish this today. So this is why it's in the wrap up, because I will have finished it today. Keep an eye on my Goodreads to see if that actually happens. This is the second book in the Stormlight Archive series by Brandon Sanderson. This is his longest and most epic fantasy in his grand scheme of fantasy Cosme universe, where he has all of his fantasy books set, and I think it's pretty splendid. I'm mainly listening to this on audiobook. There are pros and cons to the audiobook. I first read the first book, most of it, on audiobook a year or two ago. I think it was a year ago, around this time, and I actually really struggled to get into it. It's quite, there's a lot of characters. There are a lot of like plots that are kind of, they take forever to build up. So if you're not listening to it all the time or just doing like bits and bobs, which is what I was doing, like when I was doing the dishes or like walking to uni and stuff, so wasn't really listening to it for long enough, it was hard to kind of grasp what was happening, as well as the fact that in some of the chapters, more so in the later end of the series or like close to the end of the book, he switches points of view without changing chapter, and in the I don't know why, but in the storyline it's really hard to follow. Like if you miss that switch, you're like, what the heck is happening? At least I found that anyway. And another thing I would point out is that these books have little like pictures in them every so often that just have relevance, kind of like a little addition to the story. But the audiobook will like read out these annotations and you're just sitting there like, what the heck is this? Because they don't say, oh, they don't describe what the picture is before they go into it. They just start saying, like listing off these random things. And you're like, what the heck in Bob are they going on about? So like you have pictures like this. They're just like little additions to the story and make the world a little bit clearer and easier. So yes, what star rating am I going to give this? I think I gave this one a 4-star rating on Goodreads. This, depending on the ending, because Brandon Sanderson has incredible endings, they just seem to just come out of nowhere and flip around and you are left just flabbergasted and desperate for the next book. So I think the ending could change this. At the moment it is like a 4-star read. I'm really enjoying it. I actually have completely changed my mind on the character of Shallan. If you read my wrap-up of, if you watched my wrap-up of last month, you'll know I wasn't the hugest fan of Shallan. I found her a little bit annoying, a little bit irritating. She just wasn't a character I enjoyed. I didn't really enjoy her storyline. You know, it wasn't all there for me. But she has come into her own in this book and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I am on the Shallan train. Her witty humour isn't annoying me anymore. It is still a little bit like, not as witty as I think it's meant to be perhaps, but I still love it. Her relationship with Adolin and Paladin is just, it's brewing and I am excited and I want to see how that goes in the next book. And she is just becoming an independent person and I like it. Kaladin is also one of my favourites. I don't think has had as strong of a storyline in this book as he did in the previous book, but it's still good. He is getting a little bit repetitive with his whole like, I am the saviour, if I don't do the saviour then life is bad, and no point to it at all. It has happened quite a few times now that that's happened, but I suppose that's just his personality. I hope he has a little bit of growth maybe in the next book, and I like seeing Adolin a little bit more. He's coming in a bit more of a personality coming through. I want to see a little bit more of his brother. I think that will come though, because he seems to get a little bit more, seems to be getting a little bit more towards the end of this book. So yes, I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying the storyline. I am intrigued to see where it goes. You can't really predict Brandon Sanderson's stories, I feel like, because they're so inventive, and you know, it's nothing that you read before. Like, they're completely, I think, unique. I've never read anything or come across anything like this before. So excited, and I will be continuing and hopefully finishing the published series so far in 2021. Excited. So I'm counting that as one book in my big wrap-ups, but that is one book. I have rated them, I think, though, on Goodreads as separate books. So there we go. The next book I read, I think, was for a readathon that I did, a 24-hour readathon. I shall link the video up here and down below if you'd like to check that out. And I read 3 texts, shall we say, and the first one was The Lives of Saints by Leigh Bardugo. This is the Illuminate edition, so it comes with this beautiful dust jacket that has that, and nice like end pages, like called like flappy bits. That sounds really gross. And then it has I think this is just the normal hardback underneath, or like the naked dust jacket. I'm not sure though, I could be totally lying, but it's very lovely. So this is, yes, The Lives of Saints by Leigh Bardugo. It's a short story collection about lots of lives of saints from her Grishaverse, which is made up of the Grishaverse trilogy, which starts with like the Siege of Storm, Lives of that. Do you know the one? I don't actually know if that was the first book or not. The Six of Crows duology and the King of Scars duology, which is the second part, is coming out this year, or yes, this year, because you'll be watching it tomorrow. And there is like a religion, magical religion, Grishas in that world, and they follow these saints, and there is religions, and these are the saints and the little stories that go along with them. And I actually really enjoyed it. They're just very short, like some of them are just like literally a page and a half. They each have an illustration that kind of demonstrates or like symbolises the story, and they're just lovely to look at. And I literally read it in like a couple of hours, so it's super quick and easy and just a nice little read, especially if you like that world and stories and fairy tales anyway in general. Then I think you would like this, because it's basically a modern fairy tale collection. Very similar kind of morals and stuff running throughout it. The stories are can get a little bit repetitive, I think, if you're reading them all at once like I did, but they're still lovely to read and interesting, and they're different enough that you're not bored. So I think I gave this another 4-star read. The next book that I read in that readathon was Piranesi by Suzanne Clarke, and this surprised me. I tried to read this when I first bought it a few months ago, and I got about 17 pages in, which is the first part. It's split up into 7 parts. First part is only 17 pages, and I found it really weird. It's written as a diary form by this man called Piranesi, who lives in this giant house that, as far as he knows, it's the entire world, but it's like not the normal house. Like, it's not just like a creepy house. It has loads of statues in it. It has tides, like 4 or 5 different tides, like water that comes in. It seems to be like a never-ending house. It has so many stuff in it, and he's basically just lived there, and it's all that he knows. And he survives by fishing from the waters in one of the rooms and eating seaweed, and he talks to the birds, and he just lives his life in this labyrinth of a house. And there is only one other person he knows who lives in this world, and that is called The Other, and they meet up every like Tuesday or something like that for an hour. And it's basically just the unraveling of why he's there, what this place actually is. His own kind of reality is kind of changed and shifted, and I really enjoyed it the second time around reading it. I didn't expect to. Going into this readathon, I thought, oh, it's a nice short book, I'll just get through it, it's on my shelf, I need to read it basically. And it's a beautiful book, so I wanted to to see if it was as beautiful inside as it was outside. It also has quite a cool naked cover as well. Piranesi on these things. But yeah, so the second time around I actually really enjoyed it. Once you get used to the kind of weird writing style, the weird way it's presented in the diary forms, because Piranesi himself doesn't really know a lot, so there are a lot of holes in Piranesi's memory, and that kind of adds the confusion element to it. But once you kind of understand that and get to grips with that, it's really good. This reminded me a lot of The Starless Sea, so if you like that kind of whimsical, mysterious, not really sure what's going on until the end, then I think you will like this. So if you like The Starless Sea, I think you would actually enjoy this. And if you enjoy this, I think you would like The Starless Sea. The Starless Sea is much bigger. It's like this but multiplied. And then the final thing that I have to share with you, I know this has been a short wrap up, but it is, oh, the cat's arrived. And it is a play from this collection of the Trojan Women and Other Plays by Euripides. I read the Trojan Women. No, I didn't. That's a lie. I read Hecuba, which is about, it is after the fall of Troy, and it is about Priam, who was like the king of Troy's wife. I don't know if you can see him going crazy in the background. Yes, you can. And it is about her kind of discovering that her son has been murdered by the people that she trusted to look after him. Her daughter is also then taken. Ow, Jesus Christ, on a bloody bike. Her daughter is then taken as sacrifice for, I think, Achilles by the Greeks, and it's just quite upsetting. And it is a very interesting play about women, revenge, and like power. And I think it'll be very interesting. I read this because I'm going to be studying it in the new year at uni, and I think it will be very interesting to study, and I'm excited for it. This does feature as like, this is one of the source materials I think that Natalie Haynes must have used in The Thousand Ships, because that also happens. Like, she talks about that, she retells that tale, and I think she actually did that very well from reading the source material, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So those are all the books I read in December. Crazy stuff, I know. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. Please subscribe if you would like to see more of my videos. My next video will be going through every single book that I read in 2020, which is actually 3 times the amount I read in 2019. So I'm super excited for that. And I read some cracking books. So if you would like to see that video, make sure to subscribe, and I shall see you then.